Okay, let's start our lecture. Anybody please confirm my voice is audible, screen visible. Anyone can reply and say, is it visible or audible? Okay, so start now. We already learned about many things like how the program can start, how the program can construct, many of these stories, how the conditional statement, what type of the for loops, the looping statement, control statement are executing in programming. So in this subject, some of the important, like, we include many type of variables. It's our programming. In our programming, we use the simple data types like integer data types. We then also include derived type and other than. So we most of that time we required some type of storage. So what is the storage? Storage is the allocation of these variables storage. So how these storage is available, how the memory spaces are allocating for these variables, these data types, these functions. So in this session, we just learn about what type of static and state-based storage management we can use in our program. So what is the storage management? What is the static storage management and what is usage applications? What is the type of stack-based storage and what is the heap-based? There are three type of storage. One is static, second one is stack-based, third one is stack heap storage. So firstly, we start from static, then we go through the stack and third one is heap storage. So where we talk about the programming, there are many type of programming. Someone is procedural programming, second one is object oriented, third one is uh, Java related, fourth, fifth. There are many types of programming languages we use. When we programming, we type our statement, we use these term as a syntax and semantic for the programming, and these programming we use the mathematical and logical operation like our logics in that program. So whenever we use any type of variables, any type of data types, any type of methods, we just executing our program. Like we initially start from the sum of 10 digits. So we need some variable kind of sum. We need some variable that are for using the operand and operators. So that means we required some type of space, but we don't know where the space is allocated. So in programming, in we just typing our any type of command, any type of statement, it is directly related to the RAM. RAM means it is a static memory allocation. So whenever current applications like we are just using the Zoom application right now. So that means the Zoom application taking some spaces in our computer system. So these spaces are just not your secondary storage type. It is your primary storage. That means it is totally taking your RAM space. And whenever you are going for programming, that means programming is totally working through the RAM. Whenever you type any code, whenever you compile that statement, whenever you run that program, that means you just allocate some memory for that program in RAM. And after the program execution, the memory spaces is free. That called as deallocation for the memory. So in object oriented programming, But yeah, here we don't include any programming. We specified object-oriented programming. In object-oriented programming, storage management refers to allocate and delocate. Deallocating. Allocating means we just inputting our statement and they taking some storage, they taking some memory spaces in RAM. That means that statement take the responsibility of allocating memory. And whenever the program is executed, whenever the program is done from our side, that means it is deallocating memory for their object, their method, their data types, their variables. So that means it's totally inbound statement of a data structure, which means whenever we put some logic, some kind of any information in our programming, any statement in our programming, that required some space in memory, and how we manage these storage are going through stack-based allocation. Second one is heap-based allocation. Third one, automatic garbage collection. So moving through, next slide, manual memory management. Manual memory management means whenever we require any memory part in our storage, like there are hard disk, there are kind of database. Whenever we required some kind of memory, like we have 10 books and we want to store our 10 book in any rack. So we firstly decide which rack part is free. So like that, we use some kind of methodology, some kind of statement, some kind of instructions to follow in our programming. So in manual memory management, we involve explicitly means whenever we decide which part of these object with these variable are taking place for any data types, any variables. So we use some function for that. So we just need to allocate memory. So we required a function named malloc, MALLOC. This function is used for allocating manual memory management. And second one is free. Free method is used for deallocating the memory space in our storage management. So that means storage management is allocating by with the help of malloc function and deallocating memory for object with the help of free method. There are two primary storage management. First one is static storage management and second one is stack-based storage management. So what you think about static? Static means you learn in C programming languages any variable. When you declare a compile time, you require some memory, some information, some storage at compile time. That means your storage management is taking statically. Whenever you just type, you just compile your statement, that means it is static storage management functionality used, occupied. Second one is stack based. Stack based, like we just taking any information one after one, like a stack module, like we inputting books over any kind of storage. So that means one book after one book after one book, which means we just inputting through last and just output, which means we deallocating from first. So like stack method, we use last in first out method. But in static storage management, whenever we just compile our statement, that means the memory allocation done. But in stack-based storage management, we just inputting one by one. So by that definition, in the static management, memory is allocated for object at compile time. So I already tell you what is the compile time. Whenever you type any program You just want to execute, you just want to check error, you just want to check your programming functionalities totally completed or not. That time in that program, there are many variables, there are many methods, when everything, which means when you compile these statements, there are many variables, they need to have some memory, they require some memory, which means whenever you compile any statement, any program, any kind of instructions, they time they required if any memory, which means it is the allocation of memory management is statically. So in static storage management, memory is allocated for object at compile time. This means that the memory size allocated for the object is fixed. So whenever we decide, we compile, which means any type of object, variable, data types, method require any memory is fixed and cannot be changed at runtime. Which means when just compile, after that all the required memory is totally fixed. It is not changeable. But in stack-based storage management, memory is allocated for object on a stack at runtime, which means it is not done compile time. It is totally different. Whenever we need to change, so that means it also change because it is allocating memory for their object, their data types, their method at the runtime. This means the memory size allocated for the object can be changed at runtime. So static storage management is a strategy for managing memory allocation in which the memory for object is allocated for compile time. So first method totally depend on compile time of their program, and static storage allocation is appropriate when the storage requirements are known at compile time. Like if we know our object required this type of storage, like we need 10 kilobytes for our this program. So which means we are well known for that storage. So we just inputting that type of storage by the help of static storage management. But we don't know what type of memory we required for that programming. So that means we need to declare our memory at the runtime. That part called as dynamic memory allocation. Dynamically means which need anytime changeable operations. So that means it's called, it is taking care by the second option, stack storage management and heap storage management. So some of the example for the static storage management, like Fortran languages. So in Fortran languages, all type of variable are taking memory in the static storage management. Also in our C programming, in C++ programming, we declare any global variable, which means after in the main method, if we declare any variable is called global variable. So any global variable we declare, it's taking static storage management. And any type of constant, which means we decide the value of any variable fixed, that means it also a statically memory management strategy. So if we know our requirement, then we decide, we take care of static storage management, but we need to grow. We need to expand our memory structure. We require not a fixed part of that memory. So that means we need to any other type of storage called as stack or heap type of storage. So what is the properties of these static storage management? which means we predict what kind of memory we required. So it is fixed. So that means we already predicted for that. So first properties for static storage management is predictability. Second is we know how much memory required. So efficient memory management. Third one, we don't have any risk of memory leaks, which means we require 10 spaces, 10 block of memory, but we already fill 9 block, but 1 block is free. That means we reduce our risk for memory leaks, memory loss, improve program performance whenever we declare any required memory at the compile time. That means we don't spend much time at the runtime. So the time complexity for that program is much lesser than the runtime complexity. And global accessibility and portability. Portability means we can use these kind of program in any type of machine, any type of environment. So it is portable. So what is these techniques for the applications? We already discussed for starting this lecture. What is the applications for that type of storage management? So in static storage management, what type of application they fulfill in programming? First one is global variable. So whenever we use global variable, we need static storage management for allocating memory for global variable. Second one, whenever we use constant, so constant always follow the static storage management for allocating memory, like some numerical values, some literals, so some kind of fixed amount of memory whenever we required, and that variables called as constant. Third one is function pointer. Function pointer also used allocate memory for functions pointer by the help of static storage management. So whenever you just ask any question about the what is the static storage management applications, so just remind that global variable, constant, function pointers, data structure, all type of initializations required the fixed kind of memory at the compile time. That are all application which perform fixed amount of memory. So that these all application are belongs to static storage management. What is the advantage of static storage management? Already we know reduce risk of memory leaks, improve program performance, global accessibility, predictability, efficient memory management. So all these are benefit by using static storage management. And what is the disadvantage? When we know we just put our efforts to fix the memory size, that means where our flexibility part is not accessible. So there is limited flexibility and also scalability, which means we don't increase our program, don't require much greater memory than we just provide by compile time. So we have some limitations for using the memory. Second type of storage management is stack-based storage management. In stack-based storage management is a strategy for managing memory allocation in which the memory for object is allocated and deallocated dynamically at a runtime on a stack. So in this kind of storage management, whenever our program required any type of memory allocation, so it is not fulfilled at the compile time. It is done at the runtime. But at the runtime, what kind of storage structure they follow? They follow the stack application. Stack, which means we just putting one by one operation, one by one memory requirement on the memory storage. So whenever we taking use of stack-based storage management, we need to allocate and deallocate memory dynamically, which means we can change at the runtime, and we use these dynamically allocation of memory with the help of stack. So what is the stack do? Stack have two operations. One is push and second is pop. Push means we inserting any element, any requirement for memory allocation, and pop means we just deallocating. We need to free that space whenever the program is done. So stack-based storage management involves allocating and deallocating memory for a stack data structure, which allow for efficient management of memory usage in program. So what is the stack application do? Stack application is always first inserting element from last and removing element from first, like we store like bookstore. So whenever we put many books on one rack, which means by putting one by one, so that means last in, and just when we need to remove any book, so we just start from first. So it is taking care of data structure by last in first out structure. They also manage automatic data memory management. They use limited memory. There is also a very risky. So potential of stack overflow. Overflow means we just have 10 books storage in our rack. So whenever the stack is full, so we don't know. So always the risk of potential for stack overflow, reduce flexibility for dynamic memory allocation, efficient use of memory. So these are the properties of stack-based storage management. What is the application for stack-based storage management? Some of them are here. First one is function call. So whenever we need to call any function, that means after that function, there are many variables, data types, subprograms, sub conditional statement, some type of file structure. So many of these properties are belonging that function. So these type of storage management fulfilled by the stack-based storage management. So there is recursive algorithm that are taking care from bottom to up. Like whenever we use some kind of function, some kind of statement in our programming, but whenever we start executing the statement, so they follow one by one step from previous to first, first to previous, which means it is kind of recursive code. There is also a exception handling, which means whenever we know what type of error may be occur in our program, like whenever we define any logic, any mathematical equation by zero, that means there is answer is infinite, and infinite answer is taken care by the exception handling. So whenever we know what kind of error may be occur in our programming, so these type of error handling, these type of memory management are handled through the stack-based storage management. There are also function parameter, local variables. Local variables means which is declared at the runtime, and we also need to expand their memory at runtime. Whenever we passing any kind of variable through the method, through the function. So these all the properties are taking care these through the stack-based storage management. What is the advantage? Advantage is flexibility. So that means whenever we use these methods, these type of stack management, storage management, we need to take free call. Like we can assign any memory at the runtime. So that means there is scalability, that is flexibility part is for best our programming. There is also taking care for recursive method functions, and we can use efficient memory management, like we require 10 spaces at that time, so only we fulfill the 10 memory spaces. We need 12 memory spaces, 12 kilobytes, megabytes, so that means it is totally depend on what you want at runtime. So there is no memory leaks, simple and easy to use, and the property for fast allocation and deallocation for memory also fulfilled by the stack-based storage management. Automatic deallocation means whenever the program execute, whenever the program done, that means the memory space, the memory storage are using by that program is totally free after the program execution. So whenever we need to allocate, whenever we need to deallocate that memory, so stack-based storage management is very taking care for that. So after all these, we have some kind of limitations. So it is depend on some type of like the rack size, the memory size. We have the opportunity of scalability, but whenever we use in stack, so we firstly define what type of stack you are using. So the flexibility is open, but it's somehow limited. Fragmentation, which means when you using memory, like you have a book page, yeah, notebook page, there are 20 lines in this page. So in the main memory, in the RAM, there are 20 memory blocks. You use first block, you skip second block, you use third block, which means second block is not used yet. In the stack, if any space is having in these blocks are not used by you, that means it is not used after the execution of program, which means that space, that memory part, it's totally free and not used by any of the method, any of the function, any of the program. So these memory wastage or that called as fragmentation. It is also disadvantage of data lifetime, thread safety, slower access. So these are the some limitations for using stack storage management. What is the difference between these two techniques? Which one is static and second is static? So by the difference, we can take care by the memory allocation time, memory deallocation time, predictability, memory usage, risk of memory leaks. Difference between these two techniques, first one is allocation, second one is size, third one is access, fourth one is memory management, and fifth one is scope. So we learned these points. What is the static memory storage? What is the stack-based storage? Third one is also there, but maybe not included in this PPT. So I just briefed about the heap allocation storage management. So it is not taking in this slide, but I just brief about that is type of storage management. Heap means we just need what type of memory, what type of storage required for our program. But in heap, we just not taking care of single block. We have bulk of spaces. Like we have this room for storage, one room for storage. But after that, we decide in this corner, we are pushing these elements. In this corner, yeah, in this part, we taking care of 2021's books. In second one, 2022, third one, 2033. So we just firstly allocate a bulk size of memory that called as heap. But in heap, whenever you allot any type of storage, any type of allocation, there is no issue of fragmentation. We can reuse the free space as many times as we can use. So the heap allocation method is complex. It is used in many strong programs like complex program. So all these topics we just conclude here. If in your syllabus there is like heap storage management is there, I will take care for next lecture that part. So don't worry, but I brief these three types of storage management. If anyone, I just concluded because the if it is completed in. So we have the discussion time. I know last time we have no any discussions about our subject. So today I give you maximum time for that. Anybody can reply any type of issue you are having, you are not understand any topic, please reply me in chat. I will answer. You can also raise your hand if you ask any query. I will unmute you. Please raise your hand. So if you have no query, then I conclude this session now. Okay, Subham. Okay. Just wait a moment. I will unmute you. Maybe unmute button is not working. Please type your query in chat. If you have any type of problem regarding what is the use of heap memory, could you please repeat? Okay. Heap also the type of memory storage management. So like static is not just we putting static before the any kind of variable. Just that means in that value for that variable, it is fixed. And whenever we use static type, one shot लीजिए हिंदी में please अच्छे से समझ नहीं आ रहा है. Shivam, there is some boundaries for online lecture. I will brief these type of storage like we just writing any information over the page in notebook, so they require some kind of space in the notebook. Like that, whenever we write any programming language, our subject is just brief about what kind of technologies, what kind of boundaries any programming languages have, what is the functionality that are using in any programming languages. So there is no limitations. There is no one particular end for this kind of storage. So जब भी अपन प्रोग्रामिंग स्टार्ट करते हैं, whenever we start code, like we just putting C programming, we start from preprocessor directives like h include, studio.h, likewise. Then we include like any variable before main function. You use main function like void main या int main. Int main और void main से first अगर आपने कोई भी variable, if any variable like integer, float, and any members like sum, average, any function you are taking before the main function, it is called global. So there are 2 or 3 types. Last lecture we completed private, protected, public, these kind of terms. So these terms are dependent what kind of variable and what the scope that variables assign for this program. So if we have a option for public, which means any of the people, any of that person can access that. So if we open our session for public, which means any of outsider, insider can take these classes. But we provide security with the help of protected, with the help of private space, which means if anybody want to access that part, they have some restrictions. So the level of restrictions, the level of security enhancement in that particular area, that particular space, if anybody want to access, it's properly assigned. If anybody assigned for that, they can access. If anybody is not assigned for that, that means it is not accessible for that. Like that, in our programming, our program having thousands of lines. So whenever we publishing our program, publishing this, which means our program can build a website. Whenever we deploy these website to our client, so if client can check your programming part, your coding part, and if he done any mistake to modify your code, that means your website, your deployed website may be changed, maybe not work. So we hide some information from the client side. So we need to change that code as that time so the client or unauthorized user cannot change in that code. So we required some kind of these functionality, like there are criteria public, private, protected. Likewise, we need to define some storage for that also, like बहुत सारे वेरिएबल्स, बहुत सारे मेथड्स अपने उस प्रोग्राम में यूज, बट उन प्रोसेस, उस प्रोग्राम को प्रोसेस करवाने के लिए अपन उसको प्रोसेसर के पास उसको प्रोसेस में यूज करेंगे, उसको क्यू में डालेंगे, दैट टाइम उस प्रोग्राम को कितनी मेमोरी रिक्वायर्ड है, कंप्लीट प्रोग्राम को कितनी मेमोरी रिक्वायर्ड है, बट इन कंप्लीट प्रोग्राम आपने कितने सारे वेरिएबल्स लिए हैं, कितने सारे फंक्शंस लिए हैं. तो प्रॉपर फंक्शंस, प्रॉपर मेथड्स, एक एक मेथड को कितना मेमोरी स्पेस चाहिए, दैट स्टोरेज मैनेजमेंट वो कौन डिसाइड करेगा, वो आपके कंपाइलर का, उस जिस प्रोग्रामिंग को आप यूज कर रहे हो उसका जो स्टोरेज मैनेजमेंट पार्ट है वो एक्टिव रहेगा और वो अपने तरीके से उसको स्टोरेज अलॉट करेगा. तो these type of allocating space for these functions, these objects, these variables are taking care by the storage management. So memory storage management फर्स्ट पार्ट हो गया कि रैम के अंदर जब भी आप कंपाइल करते अपनी लैंग्वेज में लिखा है, लेकिन कंप्यूटर या मशीन ओनली अंडरस्टैंड 0 and 1. So that translating that code from your language, like just we are typing hash include void main, so these are the point where we start to translate. So first this simple program is translated in object code, then is C code. So there are many in between part. So first we try to compile. Compile means we just checking errors, we just translating the simple codes we write in any English languages into some other languages. So in between these process, the memory allocating, memory deallocating are used by the RAM. So RAM में ये सब प्रोसेस होता है. तो RAM कितना स्पेस अलॉट करेगी, क्योंकि RAM की साइज बहुत कम होती है, उसके साथ में आपके प्रोग्राम्स बहुत सारे रन होते हैं, तो कम से कम RAM का जो यूज है वो आपको कम से कम यूज करना है और कम से कम मेमोरी को आपको क्या करना है, वो स्टेज में जाने देना है कि आपका ऐसा नहीं हो कि आप मेमोरी को यूज कर रहे हो, मेमोरी का जो ज्यादा पार्ट है वो क्या हो रहा है, वेस्टेज में जा. सो आपकी प्रोग्रामिंग इस तरीके से होनी चाहिए कि मैक्सिमम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ योर मेमोरी हो। सो अलग अलग जो टेक्नोलॉजीज है, टेक्निक्स है, उसके थ्रू अपने, अगर सिंपल आपके पास कोई मेमोरी एलोकेशन मेथड है तो वो है स्टैटिक। आप जस्ट कोई भी कीवर्ड आपके पास आया कि सम मेथड को मैं चाहता हूँ स्टैटिक बने, तो आपने स्टैटिक उस मेथड के फर्स्ट में आपने टाइप कर दिया एंड देन उसको एग्जीक्यूट, विच मींस वी हैव प्रिडिक्शन कि इस पार्ट को इतनी मेमोरी चाहिए। जब आपको प्रिडिक्शन नहीं है तो आप क्या करोगे, तो आपके पास सेकंड लाइब्रेरी फंक्शन है स्टैक, तो स्टैक के थ्रू आप क्या करोगे, उसको मेमोरी एलोकेट। अगर आपको और ज्यादा मेमोरी रिक्वायरमेंट है कि आपका मेथड को एक बल्क में मेमोरी चाहिए और आपका जो रिकर्सिव मेथड है वो बहुत लेंथी है, तो उसके लिए आप ऐसी मेमोरी एलोकेट करो कि उसमें आपका वेस्टेज पार्ट है, रीयूजेबल पार्ट है, प्रिडिक्शंस है, या मेमोरी को एक्सपेंड करना है, स्केलेबिलिटी बढ़ानी है, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी बढ़ानी है, तो आपको थर्ड टाइप ऑफ मेमोरी जो टाइप है हीप, वो आपको यूज करना है। सो जस्ट टेकिंग केयर ऑफ दैट मेमोरी पार्ट, वी just choose which type of memory storage management can fulfill our program. It's totally dependent on the programmer side. So just in C, C++, Java, LISP, Python, any programming, whenever you just start, that time you just configure, you just predict which type of memory storage management can fulfill your these programming. So we just learning those concept they using in any programming language. Okay, शिवम, किसी को कुछ भी कंफ्यूजन है, जस्ट दिस इज द ब्रीफ, दिस इज द थ्योरी ऑफ एनी प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस। जस्ट आप उस पे एप्लीकेबल करो कि दैट टाइम उस प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में कौन सा मेथड है जो ही मेमोरी स्टोरेज मैनेजमेंट आपको फुलफिल करता है, दैट टाइम आपको वो यूज करना। एनीबॉडी एल्स? You got the point, Shivam? बता दिया अनु, अंकुश। ये पूरा सेशन ही था कि अगर आपको मेमोरी रिक्वायर्ड है, आप प्रोग्रामिंग में जो भी फंक्शंस लेते हैं, जो भी आपने कोई भी तरीके से ऑब्जेक्ट डिफाइन किया, लाइक मैंने एक क्लास डिफाइन की कि बीसीए, एंड बीसीए में कितने सब्जेक्ट है, तो जब आप सब्जेक्ट डिफाइन करोगे उनको मेमोरी एलोकेशन चाहिए होगा। जब आप स्टूडेंट नेम लोगे तो उसको मेमोरी एलोकेशन चाहिए होगा। सब्जेक्ट के मार्क्स लोगे तो उसको मेमोरी चाहिए होगा। तो इस मेमोरी को आप कैसे गेन करते हो प्रोग्रामिंग की हेल्प से, वो जो मेथोडोलॉजीज है वो अपने थ्री कंसेप्ट के थ्रू प्रोवाइड होती है। फर्स्ट वन इज स्टैटिक, सेकंड इज स्टैक बेस्ड, थर्ड वन इज हीप टाइप। तो जस्ट नो दिस concept whenever you start programming any language, you just know their concept, but just remember that what is stack fulfill, what is heap fulfill, and what is static. Seriously, work on your learning part. You have all kind of learning material on your LMS. So please read all this material. You also have some video sources, links like YouTube links, any type of website link. So go through that and listen these video sessions. So I conclude this session now. Okay. Have a good day all. Thank you for listening. Pankaj sir. Pankaj sir,